I'm going to give myself a minute to let the adrenaline settle a little bit so I can sort of take in this moment with all your beautiful faces. This has been a journey for me. Some of you know about it, some of you don't. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but last year when we did this play here, it was only possible because Father Tom Murphy and St. Paul's allowed us to come in. Oh, yes. Last year was my feature play directorial debut. This is my second feature-length play that I've directed and produced. And I feel like I have just gotten my master's degree in theater. I'm shooting for the PhD, but that's a couple years down the line. This is a great story for Jersey City and for the New York metropolitan area and for the whole country of the United States, actually, and for the world. Because there are so many parts of history that have been forgotten and not spoken about. And no light shined on them. And in fact, Washington Irving, who wrote A Legend of Communipaw sometime in the early 1800s, was well aware of this. Born in 1783 on William Street in Lower Manhattan, Irving knew nothing about the Dutch presence in North America in the 1600s, just 100 years before him. Why was that? Because the English won. And as we know, the victors write the history books. So by the time he was in school, still in the 18th century, there was nothing about the Dutch in the history books. But one of his sisters was wooed by a young Dutch-American man from upstate Dutchess County. And so they went up to see his family. And there he found one of the Dutch enclaves, and there are many, 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 many of them. And over the years of his life, he came back to Manhattan, even though he had bought a little Dutch cottage up in what is today Irvington. It was Tarrytown, stop where you stopped and tarried on your way up to Albany. And when he would visit his family in Manhattan, he didn't like to write in very familiar territory. Anybody who's done any creative writing knows it's sometimes very hard to do at home. You have to leave and go look at something different in order to be able to let it flow and write well. So what he did was get on a boat and come across the Hudson River to the city of Jersey and sit in the Old Bergen Cemetery, which is just a couple of blocks down the street from here. And he would write there. And we don't know exactly what the connection is, but I can tell you that up until right today, if you go into that cemetery, there's a nice wall of several headstones belonging to the same family name, Van Winkle. Rest in peace, Van Winkle. Maybe, could be. There certainly were rumors about Daniel Van Winkle and other Van Winkles, so since he wrote there and he wrote that story, who knows? He also wrote about Communipaw. He wrote 3 solid pieces about the village of Communipaw. And 2 of them were essays. One is called Communipaw. Another one is called The Conspiracy of the Cocked Hats. It's very funny. And the provincialism of the Dutch in the village that he talks about sounds like it could be from today. Ha, New York. You know, we got everything we need right here. It sounds really modern. There'll be some readings of that again. I've done a few. And then he wrote the short story. And somebody came to me at the end of 2006, knowing that I was really into the history of this place and the Dutch period, and said, "Did you know that Washington Irving wrote about Jersey City and Communipaw?" And I immediately looked it up, and I read everything. And as soon as I had read this story, having never produced and directed a play before in my life, I said, I'm going to put this on the stage. And 7 years later, I did. And this is year 8. Thank you. Thank you. And this is year 8, and we've done it twice now. This is the closing performance. It's very emotional for me. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm very glad to share it with all of you. And some of you look downright scary and fabulous. It's really nice to see the crazy costumes and wigs. But anyway, I have some people to thank. And I don't know if I'm going to have the wherewithal to do it afterwards. so I'm going to do it now. The theater lights that we use here are courtesy of Miles Square Theater in Hoboken, and Chris O'Connor, who runs that house. So 3 cheers to Miles Square Theater for helping us. Yes. Oh my God, of course I don't have my note paper. There's a whole bunch of people. Oh my God, this is terrible. John Hallinan, Senior and Junior, members of the Jersey City Landmarks Conservancy, some of the most expert knowledge holders of the history of Jersey City in the Dutch period. You're going to get a little bit of a dose of the Hallinan Senior. They've both been very supportive in giving us a history talk before every performance of this run and last year's run as well. So 3 cheers for them as well. The names of the cast will come later, but right now I do want to share with you the wonder that is the Legend Folk Ensemble. On trumpet, Bill Benson. On keyboard, Yukiko Tanaka. And on percussion, Doug Henricks. We are extremely fortunate to have these amazing musicians with us. This is new this year also. We had wonderful recorded digital tracks last year, programmed by Neva Wortel. That was wonderful. But live music is something special. So there is that. And again, she's not here this year, but we're using the set designed and created by Laura Vandermeulen, who is a Dutch-born Jersey City resident artist. She's been here for more than 25 years, and she created a set for us which was flexible and usable and lightweight and easy to work with and really compelling. These are all hand-painted, hand-created sets. So thanks to Laura, who is out of the country right now. Yeah. The costumes that you're going to see on most of the characters were designed by Tyler Ogburn, who has worked with different companies in this area, but moved to Georgia and yet followed through on his commitment to design and create our costumes. And they were shipped to us within a hair's breadth of opening night, which was fabulous. So look up Tyler. He's in the program. Everything is in the program. And you guys for loving Jersey City, for supporting the arts in Jersey City, for supporting live theater and live music in our town and in Uptown. And we love downtown. We love all of Jersey City. But to have night after night these seats be at least half full and sometimes close to full. We've had some very big houses, and to have that happen here is really heartwarming. And you can look forward to more beautiful musical, theatrical, and other events in this space at St. Paul's. And we come to my last thank you, which is Tom Murphy. Yes, St. Paul's, but Tom Murphy. Tom is the one who said yes last year. Tom is the one who helped make it possible for this play to happen last year. Tom is the one who said yes again this year, and who said yes again to help making it possible, not just saying yes, but to bringing to bear the resources of St. Paul's Episcopal. Watch out for this place. And if you want a place to go worship, or just to be with people who are looking for peace and to connect, come here. I'm not even a church person, and I come here. I go to service, and I'm not a religious person. And I like this place, and I like these people. So thank you again, Tom. And he's doing like triple duty now because he's in the cast this year. It's pretty awesome. Okay, that's enough of me running my mouth. I want to invite to the stage the person who's going to give you a little bit of background history about the Dutch period in Jersey City and set the stage for the rest of the evening's performance. Don't forget, we have a party after this. We've got some great fiddles in the back there, including some Beano and some Lagunitas beer in a keg. So please, yeah, that's right, that's right. So please stay around and enjoy the evening, and I'll see you later. Holland Sr.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you. Next one in. The story of the first European settlement, which would one day grow to become Jersey City, began on September 12, 1609. On that day, a tiny 60-ton ship named the Half Moon, with a 20-man crew under the command of Henry Hudson, an Englishman working for the Dutch East India Company, dropped anchor off the shore of present-day Liberty State Park. Technically, Hudson was disobeying orders. His employers, the Dutch East India Company, were interested in commerce, not colonization. The company sent Hudson across the Atlantic to find the elusive Northwest Passage, a sea lane above the present-day Canada that would allow Dutch merchants to reach the riches of the Orient without having to slip past their armed rivals along the Spanish coast and make the perilous journey around South Africa. The company was chartered in 1602 and granted a 21-year monopoly to facilitate trade with Asia. It was the first multinational corporation in the world and the first company to issue stock. It was also arguably the world's first mega-corporation, possessing quasi-governmental powers, including the ability to wage war, negotiate treaties, and coin money. However, on this day, Hudson strayed from his mission to take some time to explore the New Jersey coast. He eventually returned to his assignment and sailed up the river that now bears his name, hoping that it would finally lead to the Orient. Of course, he failed to find the passage, but his discovery of good farmland, populated by friendly Indians, surrounding a large harbor, did have the notable effect of changing Dutch attitudes about colonizing North America. After Hudson's return to Holland, the Dutch organized the United New Netherlands Company to facilitate trade in the territory Hudson had discovered, now called New Netherlands. 3 years later, a new corporation was established, the Dutch West India Company, and by June of 1623, New Netherlands was established as an official Dutch province with the Dutch West India Company facilitating the process of colonization. That same year, 30 families came to these shores looking to make a life for themselves in the New World. Their first governor was Cornelius Jacobson May, namesake of Cape May. 3 years later, a new governor was appointed, named Peter Minuet. He purchased Manhattan Island from the Lenni Lenape for 60 guilders, about $30 today, and he built the fort at the foot of present-day Broadway on Manhattan Island. Naturally, because the leadership of the Dutch West India Company was from Amsterdam, the capital of the new colony became New Amsterdam. By the late 1620s, the company was having a difficult time getting new colonists to come to the part of New Netherlands we now know as Hudson County. The economy back home was booming, and the economy here in the New World at the same time was largely limited to the fur trade. So to spur development, the company decided to initiate a policy we still continue to this day. It gave out tax abatement. Here's the offer the company made. Anyone who could get 50 adults to colonize the land west of New Amsterdam within 4 years would be considered a patroon, or feudal lord of his own little colony. Each land grant would include either 8 or 16 miles of riverfront and could extend westward into the countryside or as far as the patroon was willing to govern. The patroon would get full title to the land, the power to appoint local officials, to establish courts, and to appoint judges. He would be responsible to satisfy the claim of the Indians in whatever land he controlled. In return, the company agreed to build a fort, protect the colonists, and import slaves to work the farms. In addition, the The patroons were granted an 8-year exemption from taxes, and the settlers were given a 10-year exemption. Several Dutch citizens took up the offer, and their names still echo through the Hudson River Valley. Rensselaer, Van Cortlandt. Now enter Michael Paw, a Burgermeister of Amsterdam, and one of the controlling directors of the Dutch West India Company. He chose a large swath of land directly across from Manhattan, including Staten Island, present-day Hudson County, and part of present-day Bergen County. He purchased the land from the Indians and had the Indian chiefs join in the deed with the company and the governor of the province. He named the colony after the Latinized version of his name, Pavonia. In English, this means land of the peacock. Hence the mascot of St. Peter's University, the peacocks. Paw's grant bears the date of November 22nd, 1630, and is the earliest known conveyance for what is now Jersey City. 1630 is the date on the Jersey City seal. But Paw never set foot here. He sent Michael Paulson to take charge of the colony as superintendent. It is Paulson's name that we get Paulus Hook. Under his leadership, 2 settlements were built in Pavonia. The first settlement was at Communipaw, which stretched roughly from what is now Johnston Avenue on the north to Caven Point on the south, where an indentation of New York Bay is called South Cove or Communipaw Bay, reached up to what became Phillip Street, just east of Central Railroad of New Jersey tracks along the waterfront. Communipaw Bay was filled in by the railroads in the late 1800s. All was well for 9 years until the next Director General, William Kieft, embroiled New Netherland in Indian warfare that nearly dismantled the colony. Soon after his arrival in September 1639, Kieft levied a tax on the Indians living in all of New Netherland, and in 1641, Kieft tried to avenge the deaths of a few Dutch settlers by local Indians in retaliation